Hello, this video is brought to you by Anomoma. This is the Staff Aureus avatar sketch. In this video, there is a hidden image that gives a hint to which anime I will be covering in my next sketch, so be on the lookout for that. Long ago, there were 4 microbes who lived in harmony: the fungi, parasites, bacteria, and viruses. Then, everything changed when the drugs attacked. When the world needed the avatar, the master of all 4 microbes, he vanished. 100 seconds passed, and a new avatar emerged. He has a lot to learn before he's ready to save anyone, but I believe he's ready to save the biome. Okay, let's get started. As you can see, the background has a lot of purple and violet hues, which indicates a gram-positive organism. There has been a lot of war in this land. They say the blood still hasn't been washed out of the river. The avatar is still practicing controlling the blood by parting it. This demonstrates that Staph aureus is coagulase positive. Since the avatar is still in training and is not considered a fully fledged avatar, he is considered a beta avatar, which is symbolic for beta hemolysis. He also had to make adjustments to his staff for better maneuverability. This represents the A protein. The A protein binds to the Fc receptor of an antibody and inhibits complements. This also prevents opsonization and phagocytosis. Oh, look at that distant, loud, and boomy sandy city. It has 3 cusps, which represents the tricuspid valve. This is the most common valve affected by Staph aureus. Staph can cause acute infective endocarditis, which is usually associated with IV drug users. The first test you order if you suspect infective endocarditis is blood cultures. It may cause a valvular abscess, which may cause regurgitation of the affected valve. For example, a tricuspid valve annulus abscess can lead to tricuspid regurgitation. Also, an abscess is associated with sternal dehiscence, which presents with a clicking noise around the sternum and is a surgical emergency. This cactus has needles on it and represents IV drug users. IV drug users should be tested and treated for Staph aureus and Pseudomonas. The avatar is traveling with a viral nomad because a viral upper respiratory infection increases susceptibility to an aureus infection. Also, this man is so tall his legs didn't fit in this image. Staph ferments mannitol and turns yellow on salt agar, which is illustrated by the yellow sash. These dark markings around the chest shows that Aureus is associated with pneumonia. Sadly, the avatar discovered the remains of his mentor. This skeleton is near the cactus, which symbolizes IV drug users are prone to an aureus infection that will cause osteomyelitis and septic arthritis. The diagnostic imaging for osteomyelitis is based on the length of presentation. If the length is less than 2 weeks, you get an MRI. If it's longer than 2 weeks, you get an X-ray because initially you won't see anything on the X-ray. For septic arthritis, the white blood cell count is usually greater than 50,000 and may cause a diminished range of passive and active mobility. Arthrocentesis is diagnostic and therapeutic for septic arthritis because it drains out the bacteria. The skeleton is wearing a torn shirt, which symbolizes an immunosuppressed patient which has an increased susceptibility to a Staph aureus infection. As you can see, the skeleton has a missing nose because Aureus likes to colonize in the nares. Oh, look at this lemur, which is basically a flying cat and will be our symbol for a catalase positive organism. So now I will be talking about the toxin. This superhero cape represents toxic shock syndrome. Toxic shock syndrome is caused by a superantigen binding to the MHC type 2 to T cell receptors, causing a rampant activation and release of cytokines. It is usually associated with leaving a tampon or band-aid in. If you look at the viral nomad, you will see the red cheeks. This is due to an exfoliative toxin, also known as an epidermolytic toxin, that causes scalded skin syndrome, which is mediated by serine proteases. It's a pretty serious infection that causes peeling and redness of the skin throughout the body, which is a positive Nikolsky sign because of the separation of the stratum granulosum layer and the layers above it, as opposed to all of the layers in toxic epidermal necrolysis. Finally, Staph aureus can cause food poisoning caused by a preformed toxin. It's usually associated with dairy and meat and mayonnaise, which can be found in this nomad's bag. Usually it's self-limited and presents with mild symptoms such as like nausea and vomiting. It may require only supportive care. If you noticed, all of of our characters have an abundance of hair. This is because Aureus is associated with folliculitis, but you should also check for Pseudomonas. I think this lemur had too much cactus juice because it thinks it needs a glider to fly. This pencil-shaped glider will represent penicillin. For methicillin-sensitive Staph aureus, we treat it with nafacillin. If you look in the distance, you can see the world's best caravan cabbage merchant leaving the inn for caravanners. Too bad the produce brings in mice, which is why this inn has been nicknamed the vancomycin. Vancomycin is used to treat endocarditis and methicillin-resistant Staph aureus. These mice also appear on the skeleton to treat septic arthritis and osteomyelitis. One thing to note about sepsis is that severe sepsis responds to fluid and septic shock doesn't. The cabbage vendor is trying to diversify his produce portfolio with clusters of golden grapes, which is what Aureus looks like under the microscope. Alright, did you end up finding the hidden image? It's the turtle from JoJo's near the river disguised as a dropped cabbage. Did you really think the greatest cabbage vendor would lose his product? If you want to learn more about Avatar medicine, please watch the other Avatar lecture on my YouTube channel. Alright, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe below.